Hola mi gente, aquí con la Margarita, reminding you that on Tuesday on Facebook Live at 7 p.m. I welcome you to Moments con Margarita. Stay ridiculously curious about the you that you are. Cultivate that self-trust by feeding your spirit love, kindness, and gratitude, and nurture your ego so that anxiety and fear has no room in your life. Hola, mi gente. Buenas noches, tardes, como se dice aquí con la Margarita and Moments con Margarita. And tonight we have a phenomenal guest, Milagros Medina. And today we're going to be talking about the importance of storytelling. And we're going to be bilingual today. So we're going to speak in Spanish and in English. So this is Milagros Medina. And Milagros, bienvenida a Moments con Margarita.
Thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here, and let's go talk.
Let's talk.
Cheers to everybody.
I know. Yo aquí con mi té. Milagros, he pasado mucho tiempo porque desde ya yo soy una señorita de edad. Pero desde pequeña, papi siempre, aunque era 100 veces, nos contaba cuentos de su juventud y cómo eran las cosas y cómo uno crece y cómo uno debe de ser, tener la integridad siempre ahí sólido, cómo aprender a leer el lenguaje del cuerpo, no tanto las palabras. Él nos enseñó 3 cosas desde chiquito. Y es un refrán que se usa mucho, pero cuando él fue que nos introdujo a eso. Él dice, nunca cree nada de lo que escucha, mitad de lo que ve y todo de lo que siente. Cuando está hablando con alguien, estudia el lenguaje del cuerpo, no las palabras que dice. Y siempre mira a las personas por quien son sin juzgar. Entonces nos contaba cuentos de cosas que él pasaba como chamaquito ahí en Puerto Rico, cuando él llegó aquí, el racismo que él pasó y cómo él navegó por todo eso y quedarse intacto con el carácter y la integridad que él tenía. ¿Qué tú crees hoy día, la gente? ¿Qué es lo que nos falta?
Hoy en día se olvidó lo que es sentarnos en las tardes después del día del día de trabajo, sentarnos, compartir, hablar, escuchar a esas personas mayores que nos cuentan sus experiencias, que es bien importante para nosotros poder entender parte de nuestra historia. Es bien importante que nos cuenten, que hablemos. Las familias se mantienen unidas cuando en la mesa, a la hora de comer, se habla. Todos se sientan juntos, hablamos. Cuando entra alguien por la puerta y you say, hey, good evening, how was your day? Come on, let's sit down, let's talk. That is important in this moment.
Very
because
important.
Right now, everybody's in the phone, everybody's in the computer. If they forget the important to talk with each other. That's the most important thing in this moment for me. Continue talking, and listen. Both go together.
Absolutely. I want to say hello to Erica. She's not on, but I see her that she's logged on. Hola, Erica Balahala. Do you think that one of the biggest problems today is misunderstanding because there's no conversation or communication? Misunderstanding, like children don't share with their parents what's going on in their lives at school or work. So the parents think they're being disrespectful. The kids feel that their parents are not understanding them. We go to work, our bosses are telling us what to do, but not explaining to us the importance of why we should get it done properly. So es across the board, es de todas, no solo familia, es también nuestros amos en los trabajos, las amistades. Friends aren't being honest anymore with each other. So there's a lot of booyah. What do you think
Yeah.
about that?
Right now, that happen a lot, a lot, a lot. You see family, they living in the same house, they not see each other, they never sit together. Sometimes only with somebody dead in the family they see each other, but only for a moment, and then we forgot the rest of the family. And kids now, they growing with a different ambient than when I grow. When I grow, I go outside, play, screaming to my friends, hey, ven para acá, vamos a correr bicicleta, or whatever. We do it in the sidewalk or in the marquesina, in the garage, in one house. We do it with talking because I grew up in Puerto Rico. But now the kids, what they have, this thing in the hands. This thing in the hands. If they're talking with whatever enter, in there they have a conversation, but they not talk with the parents. And it's important. Parents have that communication with the kids and with other persons around, not only with the kids. It's important each one communicate because communication make everything flow and everything is going to be in harmony around you.
Oh, I
If
love
that,
that.
yeah, see that communication break is going to be something wrong. It's like a wife and husband and wife, or wife or wife, or husband. For something, they stop that communication, they growing separate. And it's people who go together in bed, but because they not talk, they not make a time to sit down, talk. You know how to talk about something important, but telling the person how was your day. Mine was this way. Spread what you have inside, and that's gonna make you feel better. And the communication gonna grow up. The same thing with your partners in business. The same thing with your co-workers. Whatever is always had to be a communication for each other help. Because if you don't talk and I don't see you showing something, I don't know what happened with you. Because some people stay quiet even in hard conditions, in situations you hurt them, and then you see, oh, somebody suddenly is in therapy, or somebody in psychiatric or hospital or whatever. No, we need to talk. We need to spread what we're feeling, what going around. And also, those golden age, the people with the golden age, they like to talk. They like to share experience. And it's important to listen those experience that people say. They live in part of our history, work history, different than us. Look, when I grew up, in the 80s, the best decade, what they talking in the 80s about the SIDA, HIV, whatever. That was the boom. And now, what we have, the pandemic. Every century brings something. But see, you listen those people who go through that before you, sometimes you understand better you around. And you say, okay, I see this. And somebody remind me. The other day, I'm working doing service, income tax. Sometimes the people go, oh, I don't have money to pay you for your service. Give me a big discount. Give me this. But I say, okay, let me see what you have. I noticed they work the whole year. They work the whole year. If they want to say, oh, I'm not going to have a refund, I'm not going to pay you. I say, but you're not leaving for the refund. You're leaving for your job. So by service, you have to pay me, you know. And then one of my coworkers said the other day, I listen you Milagros because I'm in a place and the people doing the stuff, and I tell it, you know what? Why you not appreciate what that person did for you and pay the service and be happy? But that's part of the communication. You have to express what you're feeling in the moment you feel it. For me, sometimes when I enter a place, I enter very serious because I like it to see what is around, what I gonna see around. But I like it to talk. I'm friendly, but don't get in my wrong side because if you get in my wrong side, you're gonna get hit.
And if
That's
you had communication, they would know that about you, right?
exactly, exactly.
Now, do you think that the lack of communication today is because our parents cut off the storytelling time that our grandparents did? Sabes que nuestros abuelos nos contaban cuentos todo el tiempo. Entonces entra los padres de nosotros en los 60 y está con todas las locuras. No siguieron la tradición de
Mhm.
contar cuentos porque ahora son padres, no quieren tantos hijos, lo que sea. Entonces llegan nosotras, pero tenemos los abuelos que nos contaban las cosas. ¿Y qué hicimos nosotros con nuestros hijos? My first language was Spanglish. My mother didn't teach us Italian because she learned how to speak Spanish. So we
Mhm.
learned how to speak English and Spanish because she'll say, go to the room and encima de la cama está la cartera. Bring it over here. I need you to go to the store and get me una lata de gandules, a 2 liter of Coke, a bag of rice, aceitunas. So that's así que fuimos aprendiendo. And I was grateful that I had my abuelitos from papi's side que nos contaban cuentos. And papi no vivía con nosotros, so when he saw us nos contaba muchos cuentos. Pero entonces entra nosotras and we try to teach our kids. I would talk Spanish for 1 hour every day with my kids when they were small and they hated me because I knew it was important. And I would tell stories and I'll bring them around older people because I think the key to is to be around los ancianitos.
Yeah.
Little kids need to be around older people to listen to stories. So when we don't do that,
They want to participate.
so when we so do you think that when our en casa ajeno después mandándolo.
Exactly.
So like my kids, we were taught to say bendición. When
Yes.
we walked into a house, we say bendición, and when we left the house, we said bendición. When we walked in
So,
the house, we kissed everybody in the house and said bendición, hola. And then when we left, we kissed everybody in
yes,
the house.
everybody.
Say adios, bendición.
And
I've
yeah,
met a
that's
lot
the
of people.
same the same way I grew up. Right now, my son is 28, my daughter 23. And before we go to bed, we kiss each one and we say, God bless you. We bless us. So I teach them that. They see the father, they kiss the father. I'm divorced. They kiss the father and they asking for the bless.
Yes.
And I teach them with every adult people to do the same thing. I have friends, Mexican friends, and the Mexicans, they say, "Stop there, I'm gonna bless you." That's the way they bless, the bendición. They blessing you too. And it's important to keep it those traditions, those stuff, because right now generations is a bridge, it's a separation. Because like you say, our grandparents, our parents changing the routine. Why? Because they living in different way. Our parents, our grandparents, even they don't make a lot of money, but they live comfortable, some of them. But when our parents grew up, they start saying, I want to be different to my parents. That's something normal. You had to do it. You had to be different than them. And then is the situation that mom had to work, daddy had to work. Both had to work. They have a person who care for the kids.
Mm-hmm.
And there is still the communication go breaking because they involve in that routine. When they get home, they tired, they wanted the kids go in bed because they don't have time for them.
Yep.
What they do, they give it games, they put it in the TV, then it's time to go in bed, go in bed. Sometimes they check the homework, sometimes they not even check the homework because it's parents who never go to the school to see what the kids doing.
Yes.
Like I say, if you don't want to have a kids and you don't want to be, you have kids and you don't want to be part of their life, why you have it? You need to get
Exactly.
involved.
And
You need to talk around with them.
you need the constant and my grandkids, I have three that talk, and two are in Florida, and my 12-year-old lives here. And I taught them how to say bendición, whether they're calling me on the
Mhm.
phone, whether they're sending me a text, or as soon as they see me. Bendición, abuela. And the little one's like, bendición, see, I didn't forget, But they'll text me, bendición, abuela. Are you coming over to make
Mhm.
coffee? The ones in Florida.
That's good. That's
But
good.
I
That's
taught
good.
them that because I love my traditions and I love it gives them a sense of respect when they're speaking to their elders. So when they're out there and I'm not around and their parents are not around, they're going to know this person's older. Hay que darle respeto, you know?
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
I sit with my grandkids and I do storytelling. I do storytelling from stories my father told me about him growing up in Puerto Rico, where my mother and my father met here, how I came to be, and how lucky they are that I was born because that means that's why they're here. So it's a whole storyline, but I do it to teach them appreciation of life. Hay que apreciar vida.
Yes.
Hay que apreciar la vida. Hello, Kathy Ruiz. So, cuando nosotros nos sentamos a conversar con nuestros hijos, nuestros nietos, nuestros sobrinos, eso es enseñándole el respeto. Eso es
Yes.
enseñándole que lo que tú estás pasando hoy no es nada nuevo. Tu tataranieto lo pasó, comenzó, tu abuelo, todos, tus padres, y sobrevivieron. Cada década, como tú dijiste
Exactly.
anteriormente, trae algo que es feo, que la gente piensa que van a morir y que no van a sobrevivirlo. Y se es
Mhm.
sobrevivido y hay que pensar, yo le digo, en nuestra familia, con todo lo que hemos pasado, estamos aquí para contar el cuento. Porque la gente,
Exacto.
en tu opinión, ¿por qué tú piensas que la gente hoy en día no están sacando tiempo para contar los cuentos de sabiduría, los cuentos de luchar, los cuentos de cuando uno piensa que no puede, se abre el camino y para adelante vamos? ¿Por qué esas conversaciones no se están dando?
Because right now the family environment or the nuclear family is getting destroyed for one thing. the events, the technology. Everybody running in the house to sit down again in the computer, to sit down to read, see TikTok, see this, see Instagram, Facebook, all those stuff, and they forgot the important to talk and not have somebody who pull the ear. Hey, come on, let's go sit down, let's go talk. Right now, grandparents are no part of people's life. They get forget. Other people have their grandparents around. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. My kids love my mother. They like it to talk with her, listen her. I love it. My aunts and everybody, because I teach them. We sit down, we talking. Sometimes it's 2 o'clock in the morning and we're talking. And we like to talk, to spread. My son and my daughter, we're talking. And sometimes we say, okay, it's time to go sleep. Because, we pass the whole night talking. We're talking about the news. We're talking about everything and sometimes about nothing, but we talk. And during the day, we also call each other, hey, how you doing? Are you okay? Yes, I'm okay. Perfect. See you later. Those small details are important in every family. Like I say, that table in the kitchen is important because you have the most beautiful house in the world. But for some reason, everybody in there in the kitchen around that table. When I have guests in my house, my living room, they don't sit down, they coming directly to the kitchen. And I say, why are you coming to the kitchen? They say, no, in this kitchen, always anything good. The food is good, let's go sit down, let's go talk. And everybody is around that table. We talking. And I like to do that. I invite friends. We have wines, we have whatever. Sometimes water, but we talk. And that's good. When you have a hard week and you sit down and talk with somebody, you're feeling like your chest gets smaller, no pain in your shoulders. That's good. That's the routine. The
It's
kitchen,
healing.
yeah, is the healing, and that ambient is important to continue doing that. Sit down
Sit down
with
and converse. Like what Erica said. Erica said exactly what you were saying. People don't even do family dinners most of the time. And, here in my sister's house, she always cooks. So people always come. In my house, I have a tiny kitchen. Like maybe I could have two thoughts in my brain. So, but I have a sanctuary that my back porch, screened in back porch, and it has couches, it has nice rugs. We sit out there till 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning and talk. And Erica used to always be out there with me. I used to hold her hostage and we would talk late into the night. And I think you hit it on the nose. The parents have gotten very lenient today, so their kids don't want to come out of the room, so they're like, I well, he don't want to come out the room. And so gathering, even if they're upset, make them gather. Look what Kathy Ruiz wrote. My grandparents and parents didn't tell enough stories. They have all passed. This is something I wish I would have asked more about. There were so many things like sacred medicine and recipes that were never shared. Absolutely, Kathy. And that's why I felt tonight's conversation with La Sabia Milagros is about
no,
storytelling.
no, sorry.
Yes, it's about storytelling and how that piece of magic has been displaced from families, and when I say families, I don't even mean blood relations. I just mean the people that you love. And it's so easy for us to speak to strangers, but then we come home and ignore the people in the house. And we
Exactly.
need to change that. We need to make a shift happen, because with the way the uncertainty of the world, we need to know exactly where every member of our family is at spiritually. We need to know, are they happy? If they're not, then what can I do to help you understand what it is you're going through? And then because I'm a storyteller, so I said, well, my daddy used to say, or I would say my mom used to do, because my mom really didn't tell us stories, right, Janet? No, it was my father. He would tell us the same story 100 times, and 100 times we were like, "Ay, Dios mío, papi, de verdad," because it's a
Mm-hmm.
story and it's a precious moment of storytelling. And so when you sit with the elderly, and then you take that and you put it here, and then you share it with your family, and then when your kids go out into the world, they'll hear something and they're like, well, my mom and I were having a conversation and we believe, or we found out. So that storytelling going from generation to generation. You don't
Mm-hmm.
understand when I go to my daughter's house and my grandson will say, "Oh, hold on," and puts the phone in my face because he's FaceTiming with the girl. And he's like, "This is my grandmother. This is the one I was telling you about. Talk to her." And that means that he's listened to my storytelling. And I
Exactly.
think we need to continue. My sister here, on the other hand, she'll tell me, "Oh, shut up. You think you know everything." But I love it because guess what? She's listening. She just don't want to hear it right now, right then and there. But okay, so Kathy, I understand what you're saying. I never met really my mom's parents, so my maternal grandparents. My mother was disowned because she was with my father, who was Puerto Rican. But my paternal, mi abuelita and mi abuelito, loved us like if we were 100% Puerto Rican, and they told us stories, and they nos dejaron rico, ¿sí? A lot of parents and grandparents te dejan herencia de dinero, ¿verdad?
Mm-hmm.
We were poor, pero la
Yes.
herencia de sabiduría que nos dejaron is to last a lifetime. The wisdom, the seeds that they planted so many years ago is our wealth today. It's that wealth, that wisdom tree, that tree of life, que cuando uno está perdido, you go up and you pull a leaf down and you caress it, and you might even chew it, because ya tú sabes que ahí te va a salir la sabiduría and you're going to know which way to go. But all of that
That's
is
correct.
through storytelling. All of that is through communication. Give me an example of what you experienced that was resolved, que se resolvió, una experiencia que era difícil, pero que se resolvió por contando un cuento o hablando claramente.
You know, when I had my first boyfriend, my serial first boyfriend, when I broke up, my grandma for my mother's side, she was alive, and I tell him, oh, we broke up, and she said, don't worry, that's gonna happen, and that's gonna pass because it's your first love. And then she started talking, and she said, remember this, Milagros. Never, I'm gonna say in Spanish, maybe you help me. No hay cuerpo que resista por 100 años. It's when she told me, it's like your body never gonna resist 100 years for that situation. Everything is gonna pass. Everything is gonna pass, and that's true. And my other grandma, for my father's side, she living in a farm. She grew up pig, chickens. We had to help him, and I love to go there because we have freedom to roam more. She said, when somebody do something to you, don't get upset. Let it go. But sit down in the corner in a comfortable chair, and you're gonna see they pass. And what they're gonna have is gonna be more worse than what they did to you. If they start to tell you a story, and I remember when my grandma for the fun, she don't want it at night. We go outside to play. You know, when the chicken poo is with water too. She said, "Look, that's the poo of the witch. You don't go outside." But we know when she say the witch, We're gonna have a scary story, we're gonna have ghost story, and we everybody sit down waiting for what she's gonna say. And that moment is good. You leave that moment and you can't just to be able to tell them to kids all that stuff. My daughter, she never meet my father. My father passed away 22 years ago. But for what the brother telling about my father, what I telling about my father, she say, I know my grandfather because she learned through us telling his story about him. And then he was the carpenter in the town. Every time I go to my town in Puerto Rico, I say, you see the house? Your grandfather built the house. Your grandfather fixed this. And that's the way she learned about him. And she said, I know my grandfather all the time. When he passed away, she was only 9 months old. But she know his grandfather because we tell him. We tell
Yes.
him that history, that's jokes, that's stuff that he do. But we tell him.
And I'm happy you said that because I just want to say, Erica, I loved every second too. Erica, it was a good friend of mine, Milagros. We worked together in Florida. And I think it's been
Mhm.
2 going on 3 years that she moved to Maryland. So I haven't seen her. So, and then my cousin
Yeah,
Priscilla, hello, beautiful, from my mother's side. I'm glad you brought that up because, through storytelling, you're keeping those memories alive. And I don't believe that anybody really dies as long as you keep them alive in your heart. So when you love
correct.
someone or when you've learned something, the best thing humans can do is share. Whether it's how to put a band-aid on, how to brush your hair right, how to wash your ass. We need to constantly share to make everyone around us better. We can't expect
Mhm.
better from people if we don't story tell them without, like, okay, I'll give you an example. Whenever we made a mistake, my father would never say, "Why'd you do that? That was stupid. You should have did this." And that's why it didn't work out because you don't listen. He never said that to us. We would mess up and he'll say, "Mira, Margarita, cuando yo," and then he'll go right back to when he was a teenager in Puerto Rico because he has 6 sisters, and he'll share stories. And he says, and so when things like this happen, you know, next time, because you can't do nothing about it now, next time, breathe, take a step back, look at the situation. Is it worth your time? If it's not, then walk away because a brave person is somebody who can walk away from a situation than somebody who feels they got to prove themselves.
Exactly.
So, because we grew up in one of the worst housing projects here, so we were always fighting. And he told us, if you stay here, I'm gonna hit you. So we had no other choice. But he always also said, if I find out you're looking for trouble, I'm gonna hit you. So we knew that
Mhm.
fine line of self-defense and walking away and not participating in something that wasn't good for us. And he would tell us the
Exactly.
stories. He's been shot. My mother shot him. He's been shot. He's been stabbed. And he would say, if I had done this, if I knew then what I knew now, this would have happened. So to prevent you from going through this, let me share with you different scenarios. And that's why we are who we are today through
Exactly.
storytelling time and
For
learning
those
that
moments.
everybody makes mistakes. It's how, not how you fell in your mistakes, it's how you rise. And if we don't have our parents or our grandparents explaining that to us, we're not going to learn in today's society. So how important do you think it is for us today to start initiating maybe one Sunday a month family dinners and no phones, just conversations? What would you think? How would you think that would help the people in your life?
A lot. That gonna be wonderful. See every family, every house in this world do that. Even only a day is going to be wonderful. You're going to have a good time. You never regret that. And you're going to look it for the next time you're going to do that because it's beautiful. Sit down, talk, joke, even dancing. Because sometimes I'm here cooking and I like to put music. And then my son say, okay, mom, let's go dance. My daughter say, okay, I dance like this. And you have, because you learn, I learned dancing in the kitchen when my mother dancing. That's when I learned to dance
So
in the
did
kitchen with
we.
the family. You know, it's moments that are unique, unique, and we need to continue doing that. Forget about, and now, right, some people they say let's go play a game. They pull something, put your phone here and let's go talk, and you have fun doing that. Some families are loud, other families are quiet, but it's a moment that you never forget. It's when I say the kids in Christmas, they forgot the toys, but they never forget the good moment of who give it that present in the way the person give it that present. You never forget that because that's moments that you have to create with each person around you.
You know what I've learned through my dad's storytelling. Now, my dad, he was no nonsense. Um, the most caring alcoholic you ever want to meet. My dad was a Monday through Friday alcoholic, and on the weekends tenía su vicio. But when we were of age, we all drank together, and he never allowed us to see him high when he was on any drug. But we would sit, and every holiday he'll come to my sister Janet's house because I don't cook; she cooks, and we would he would always be there. Him and my mother would be in the same room, and they had separated when I was 6. And he would cry every time he drank. He cried and hit himself. He would have his palo viejo and hit himself. And then he would tell us, make amends. Don't carry grudges for anybody in your heart because it leaves you empty. He says, if you don't like someone, tell them because maybe
Exactly.
they don't know why you're mad at them.
Mm-hmm.
He says, talk, pero no coja mierda. Don't take nobody's shit. Clear the ear.
Exactly.
And if you clear the ear and you still can't talk, then go your separate ways. But at least there's understanding. And I think when you do confrontations like that, no, confrontation, I love confrontation. People look at it as it's a bad thing. No, confrontation is aclarando las cosas. Not over the phone, not through text. It's saying, can we talk? And then whatever the thing may be. And then if you decide then that you clear the air and you can no longer be friends, then you part. But I think when it comes to gathering, even friends like that, if you have to gather, be courteous because it's only healing yourself. The Sunday dinners that we talked about, we're not gonna like everybody in our family. But let me tell you one thing that I've noticed. I'd rather sit with family members that I don't really care about, but everybody else is laughing, so there's really you're still enjoying it, than seeing
Mm-hmm.
everybody in un velorio at a wake.
Exactly.
It seems that like my father's family or my cousins and everything, it's like we gather at wakes. Like, okay, next time, the next muerto, I'll see you then. And it
That's that.
shouldn't be like
That's
that.
that.
It shouldn't be like that. It
That's
should
that.
be, let's make time. We have disagreements and we see things differently, but respect my values and I respect
Mm-hmm.
yours. Y vamos a sentarnos a comer y a conversar.
Exactly.
Let's cheer what's going on with your kids, what's going on with my kids, because that's a unity I think that humans are supposed to have. And through storytelling, you know, There's a lot of action. Ay, milagro. Yo fui para acá and I saw this person and oh my God, and I hugged them. And so it's very theatrical, right? Es como viendo
Exactly.
una película con tanta alegría. So even when you read a book, I get lost in the characters. But when you're behind your phone reading someone else's life, when you're only talking about people and not to people, you're not living. There's no
No,
there's no fulfilling, there's no feeding your spirit, there's no love. Like we're love
exactly.
and we're not producing it. And where does that lead us? Depression. It lead us isolated from the very people who will heal us. It
Mm-hmm.
cheats our family members from enjoying holidays because we don't want to participate because que si esto, que si lo otro. So I think if there was five things, Milagro, I hope I'm not putting you on the spot. If there's five things, five seeds of wisdom that you can share with us tonight of how to get there and how to continue, what would you say?
For have a good conversation and group with good conversation. First, when you enter in the place, say hi. Say hi. Look everybody in the eyes. I like to see people eyes. I don't like it when somebody say hi. No, show your face. Say hi. Then try to find. That's number one. Say hi. Number two, if nobody talking, try to find something in that area who's going to call the attention to the people and make them talk. Maybe is somebody have a blouse. Oh, the blouse is beautiful. And then the other is gonna, oh, where you get it? Then break the ice. Find something to talk. Other thing, like you say, put, we always talking, put the boundaries around. But set up very straight what things you like it to talk and what things you not like it to talk. When I go in a group, we're talking about everything about nothing. But my rule, they know I don't talk politics, I don't talk religion. That's a no-no. Why? Because some people get so exciting. Let's go see to talk about those and then ended offending other people. So I like it to have a good conversation in we set up with my friends. It's like sometimes they come in and they say, today I'm not having it. I don't want to talk about this. We're not talking about that. We're talking about other stuff. And at the end, that person is going to tell you why he don't have it today. What happened to make it then to feel like that. But you have to find different stuff. Set up that boundaries. Respect people. Let's go see you go in a in a group, and part of that group is a person you don't like it, you say, don't look back that person. Say hello with respect, show, but greet that person. Say hello, do the conversation. Maybe at the end, you like that conversation, that person is something to make you close to that person. Give it the opportunity. I say three things, that's right. 4, if you had to talk, do it. You talk. Number 5, talk and do it. Talk with the people. Listen to the people. For me, that's the most important thing. Every time I go to a group and talk about something or we do something, that's the way I do it. I hope that helps somebody to.
Yes, it does. Listen, because I'm very spiritual. So I
Mhm.
don't judge people and I don't not speak to somebody because of something I heard or anything. Like I said earlier, if there's an issue, I'll let that person know what's the issue because we could have misunderstood.
Good.
But,
Exactly.
and then, like the story I told at the book signing Thursday about the gentleman who showed up, how I met him, when I met him, and what happened. See, that's storytelling. And I'm a
And there
storyteller,
is something.
you know? So, and I feel that, and there's people I don't like, their spirit doesn't connect with mine, but I'll observe
What
them
happened to me?
and I'll be polite. I will acknowledge them because it doesn't cost me anything to be kind.
And it's not gonna hurt.
No, so I'll acknowledge them, but I also have my boundaries. If we had a conversation and you know why I don't like you, why I don't want to converse with you, then you got to respect that boundary. I'll acknowledge you,
Mhm.
but I won't go in depth. But what you said resonated very deeply. When you're in a group, my cousin Iritza, hola mi amor, Iritza le habla a todo el mundo, a los perros, hasta las cucarachas si se puede. She es una arma bien libre and she just loves people. And she has a
Mhm.
backstory to that. But and she would always tell me I was mean, but it's more of my spiritual side with that because if I don't connect with you, I'm not going to connect with you, point blank, period. But I'm not going to be rude unless you cross that boundary,
Exactly.
right? So, but the conversation is there. It's still a conversation. Like, why are you talking to me? There's no reason for you to talk to me when they cross that boundary. Because if I don't secure my
Mhm.
boundary, who will? But in the event of saying
Exactly.
that, if that person were to fall, I'm going to help them get up because that's my personality. And that's what we should do with humans.
Exactly.
Listen, when growing up, I always respected my elders and I love to sit and talk to the elderly. I love it. It's one of my favorite things. But in that, not only because you learn, but because in my mentality, of my spirituality, I had an abuela. And
Mhm.
wherever my abuela was that I wasn't, I wanted someone to be there that was going to treat her with respect and have conversation with her. You understand? Because that's the trickle effect of life, right? It's the balance of life. But when you said number 4 and number 5, hola mi hermana, number 4 and
Yeah.
number 5, you said talk and talk and do it. And number
Mhm.
5, talk, talk, and do it. And that's exactly what we need to do. You don't need to talk about the stock market. You don't need to talk religion, politics. You don't need to talk about how you hate your job. Tell me what's your favorite wine. You know,
My one?
tell me how you parked in the parking lot and when you came out of the store, you were going into the wrong car because that's happened to me. I've opened
To
someone
everybody.
else's car going into the passenger seat. Yeah. And those are stories that hola, Stephanie. And those are stories that I tell. Why? Because they're funny and because it can happen to anybody. You know, when I go out with my son, he'll always say, "Watch what you're going, because you're always falling." But it's because he's worried that I'm going to hurt myself. But I laugh because me and the floor are best friends. I'm always falling. But they're
The
conversations.
same with me.
It's conversations. Um, even like with my niece Stephanie, my daughter Tiffany, and my son. I send them like funny things in the morning, funny memes,
Mhm.
and then it gets the ball rolling. They'll say something, the other one will say something. Two live in Florida, one lives here, I'm somewhere. Um, and then I have mornings where I forget, but they know I love them. And I just think that even if you're gonna connect that way, connect. The important part of storytelling, it cannot happen unless we connect.
Exactly.
If we fail to connect with other spirits, with other individuals, how are we going to learn anything that that matters? What you're learning
Mhm.
on TikTok, on social media, that's people repeating stuff, and then you're like, oh my God, I don't have that life. But when you talk with people, sea ese paño de lágrima, you know, be that person that does the little tickling and brings laughter out of somebody. You know,
Exacto.
tell embarrassing stories because it is in those embarrassing stories that you get esa risa que te duele el estómago.
Y
And
te
then you
mea.
connect, right? Se uno se mea. And then you connect. And then you start sharing stories. And you learn. And you
Exactly.
teach. And you repeat. And then someone else is learning a beautiful story, or they're listening to how somebody survived something. And then you feel like you're not alone in the world because, oh my God, it didn't only just happen to me. And
Exacto.
I think the whole five that you gave were excellent. When you're speaking with somebody, look at them. That
Exactly.
forms a trust, that forms
Exactly.
instant connections when you're looking at somebody. You're acknowledging
Mm,
somebody. If you're shy, you can still look up. And why are you shy? Two, you're not around enough people. There's not that connection. We humans need to have people around us. We need to listen to laughter. We need to listen to words. We need to listen to stories. I think that to be sitting down with family and laughing and telling a story is priceless. That makes you the richest family in the world when you can sit together and eat and joke around and pick on each other and say, ay, si tú supieras lo que me pasó la semana pasada. That is the
exactly.
beauty of life. That's being the one percenters of the world that are abundantly rich, is when you have that connection. What do you think?
Exactly. That's important. Eso es bien importante el poder comunicarse uno al otro y crear esas memorias. Cuando hablaste de las personas que se van a carros equivocados, when you go to other car, I'm going to make you laugh. And 4 years ago, I had cataract in my eyes. And my kids, they wait at 9 to pick up me for my job. And I coming out and I see a car and I try to open the door of that car when I hear the horn. Beep, 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 beep. My son, it's this one, it's this one. And the people in the other car, what? Because I go to the car. And just sit down with my kids. If they tell you all that stuff, you pee yourself. Because in the way they say it, you have to laugh. You have to laugh. But that's the stuff that happened. That's a memory. That's something they never forgot. And I'm sure when I have my grandkids, they're gonna tell them, the grandkids, what grandma did. Because my mother say she don't understand why I have those good kids when I give her a lot of headache. And then my kids say, why mommy giving you headache? And she said, she always fight. She always have boyfriend. She always doing something and running, doing something around. And you guys are so relaxed. And I say, because I make sure they come down when they have to come down. And she's still waiting to somebody do stuff to me. And she say, I'm going to see your grandkids doing stuff to you and I'm going to laugh. She's waiting for that. And my kids love it when she telling all the stuff I did.
And
And
that's
they say,
beautiful
"Hey, Mom,
because they see
it's
you as a regular human, not this perfect person they got to look up to. You know, when you said that, it
exactly,
reminds me of a refrán that says, hija fuiste, madre será, y como lo hiciste, así lo verás. And
exactly.
yeah, my mother cursed me with that, and it worked because my daughter was like, oh maron, if I could have traded her in for 10 boys I would have. And then I would tell her, she's like, don't tell me that. I said, oh yeah, mijita, you're gonna pay. Y la hija de ella salió al país. Argenis, la hija de Argenis. Mi
Ah,
nieta es, que Dios me la bendiga, tiene sus actitudes, por supuesto, pero respetuosa, trabajadora, sobreviviente del cáncer. And entonces, my daughter's always yelling at my grandson, who's just like her, and does exactly what,
mhm,
not wanting to clean, wanting to buy me this, buy me that. So, you know, sometimes you're blessed with great kids, and sometimes you learn through your kids and you share with your
exactly.
kids. This is why I don't want you to do this, because when I was your age, I thought I could get away with it, and this is the consequences I had. parents also need to share those stories, because when they act like they never did it and they yell at their kids, it's a great disservice. It's a lack of communication. It's a lack
Exactly.
of
You
enseñanza.
push them away. You push
Yes,
them away when you're screaming to
yes,
them and all that stuff. You have to teach them respect, but also leave that door open for they
yes.
come in and talk with you and sit down and have a good time. Okay, that is important. Important.
It is, because you
Always.
learn a lot. You learn a lot. Um, like my grandkid, my 15-year-old, he asked me, "Wella, did you ever smoke weed?" And I said, "Absolutely." But I stopped when I was 16. Why? I said, "Why? You trying to try it out?" And he was like, eh. I said, "Listen, if you're gonna try it out, tell your parents, because you don't know what they're putting into it. Be honest with them." And then like that, I said, and if you're gonna try it, at least you're safe. And then
Exactly.
I told my kids, you know what? If he comes up to you, listen to him, don't yell at him, see what it is, because quizá lo trata y no le va a durar toda la vida. You know what I mean? But at least he's trying it in the safety of the home.
Or maybe he listen, just period of different people decide not to do it. That's the
Exactly.
other effect. Or they do it or they not do it.
Don't do it, but if you have to do it, let them know, because there's a lot of junk out there. So you're giving them an
Exactly.
option, and then you tell them choose wisely, because that's
Exactly.
also teaching them responsibilities, how to make choices, and how every choice has a consequence. So you
Friends.
can't just say no, you better not do it, because then what they're gonna do, Milagros? They're gonna run and do it because you told them not to. So I just
Exactly.
cada persona, cada individual va a aprender a su manera. Vas a hacer las cosas, quizá van a coger consejos tuyos y nunca lo van a hacer, y hay que te van a escuchar el consejo y se van a tirar a las millas a hacerlo. Cada cual,
Exactly.
¿verdad? All we have to do is give
Exactly.
them an option. Here's the door. I'm going to leave it open. Now you tell me, this is what happens. These are the pros. These are the cons. Again, that's
Friends.
storytelling. And he's like, why did I stop smoking? And I told him, because they laced it with LSD and I almost went crazy for 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
My mother said, die, bitch. Nobody told you to smoke. So my
Mm-hmm.
father said, ay, Margarita, pero ¿por qué tú estás haciendo eso? Tú no querías ser maestra de los niños um, que tienen disabilities. Pues tú no puedes ser eso haciendo esto. Mamita, mira lo que te pasó. I never smoked again after that, because of the way my
Exactly.
father told me a story. And then
Mm-hmm.
he said, don't be like me. It's in our DNA. Don't become addictive to anything. And I
Exactly.
walked to my father's house holding on to branches, holding on to the fence, because I was still high off that LSD. But I knew I had to get
Mm-hmm.
to him, because I had to tell him what was happening to me, because I knew he was going to knock some sense into me con palabras, through story.
All right.
And that's why I love storytelling. And I think
Yes.
that everything that you said, it's right on the nose. The family get-togethers, that even if you don't like each other, acknowledge one another, converse with one another, because we don't know what the other person is going through. And we're
Exactly.
family. And because two people don't like each other, a lot of families are not getting together. Oh, I don't want to go because fulana de tal is going to argue with fulana de tal. And what are you doing is bridging such a gap, right? Entre familia. So be the better person. Even if you just acknowledge them from across the way. Hey, I see you. How are you? And you don't have to talk to them, but be together. Listen to the stories and the memories being shared, and pass it on to your kids, and grow abundantly with knowledge and wisdom, right?
Yeah. And always, always, did you look to this side? You look to the other side. It's always gonna be somebody around you, and sometimes that person need only somebody to say hello
Hello.
for
Oh,
them
I
not
like
feel alone. Only hello. Cheers.
that. Salud. And that's it. Mira,
And
llegamos
just like,
a la hora. Let me tell you, Milagros, thank you. This is something that I've been wanting to talk about. Um, because as if for those that are still on, Milagros and I will be authors in a book coming out in June. I'm so happy we're writing in this book
yeah,
together. And we're sharing our tragedies to triumph, to transformation in our words, beautifully singing off the pages where it's going to make you want to do the flamenco or the tango, because they're both beautiful and they both have full feelings. And when we share our feelings, we're making the world a better place. So remember
Exactly.
that. If everyone watching, start gathering with your children to start off with. Start telling stories, start talking reality, start sharing memories. Let's continue the legacy from our grandparents and do the storytelling, pass it on to our grandchildren, because that's where the legacy stays and remains, passed on
Exactly.
generation to generation.
And
Any last
sometimes
word?
you only have to tell the people how was your day.
That's it.
Only that. And you're gonna have a wonderful conversation.
That's it. That is it.
That's it.
¿Y cómo te fue? Or me, when I walk in somewhere, I'm like, and I see people there and they're like looking, and I'm like, oh, I wish I could take my bra off. And guess what? That breaks the ice. Because that's something a lot of
That's
people
true.
they won't
Only one
say.
thing. Only one thing. Only one thing to break the ice, and you had the most wonderful time in the world.
Exactly. So let's start smiling from the inside more, and let's start sharing the music of our laughter, because laughter is my
Exactly.
favorite song. And I always have it on
Exactly.
replay. And I think that we need to laugh more and worry less. And we need to unite more. And we do that through storytelling. We do that through communication and conversation. So, mi gente, pa'lante. Any last words que tú quieras decir antes que cerramos?
Live simple, live happy. That's the best.
And drink wine.
Oh, a lot of wine.
All right, mi gente. This is it for tonight for Moments con Margarita. Milagros will be back on Viva Café con Leche, and she will be back on Moments con Margarita. And you probably will see us as the tribe of her badass story. So stay tuned. You'll be seeing a lot from us, as we have a lot of wisdom to share. We'll teach you how to plant those seeds so that your harvest can be bountiful in the life that you're living. And with that, remember, may your soul sing and your spirit dance. From La Margarita, buenas noches. Good night.
Good night.